I'll be happy to do some photography for you.
Oh, that'd be awesome, man.
I can't do that, but I can offer a reach around. That's the best I got. We'll suck dick for figs, you know.
Rock bottom with a Lego.
Bring me the next shiny new thing. Bring me the next shiny new thing. Bring me the next shiny new thing. Bring me the next shiny new thing.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Big Bad Figcast. My name is Brett, also known as Geek Over 40, and today I'm joined with Phil, Fat Cat Bricks. Say hey, Phil.
Hail Hydra.
So today we got a great guest. He started in 2014 as a collector and has now evolved into a mainstay into the custom Lego scene. Like other favorite brands, he has found that magic sweet spot for his customs so that even though they are technically custom, they can fit right in with your official collection. You might know him as KO Minifigs, but today we're going to call him Kyle.
Hey, everybody. Brett, thank you so much for having me on the podcast. I've been looking forward to this for a long time, so I'm really psyched to be here.
Yeah, we've been talking about doing this for a couple months.
Yeah, I'm not busy summer, you know. So
yeah, the hardest part about doing the podcast is the scheduling. It really is, especially when dealing with a bunch of co-hosts that are all over the world. We're hoping to do a best figs of 2023 or favorite figs of 2023,
nice.
And I want to have a bunch of us on there. And I'm thinking, how am I going to coordinate 2 time zones in Canada, the UK? Taiwan,
a global project here.
Yeah, I invited Ed on. He's in Singapore. I'm like, what am I doing? Sket, I invited on. He's in Ohio. So
that's awesome.
This is going to be, it's going to be crazy. So thankfully, I got a few more months to figure it out. But so thank you so much. For those who don't know, KO Customs, he's been around for a while. In the more recent history, he recently just announced and released his Frosty or Iceman version 2. And then we also had his collab with Diamond Customs doing Omega Red. He's mostly focused on mutants, and we're going to get into all that. So, Phil, do you want to kick this off?
Well, first, I just noticed that Kyle said he had a busy summer, and immediately I went to the term hot girl summer. So I'm thinking hot customizer summer. We're going to coin that term, hot customizer summer.
That's amazing.
No, honestly, thanks for coming on, Kyle. So yeah, we'll get straight into it. So we want to know how you got started on this crazy scene. You were a collector first, right? You started out just like the rest of us, buying up at the brands. Yeah.
Yep. I think I first I was always into Lego as a kid, and then when the Lego movie came out in 2014. I went and saw it, and it reignited my whole passion for it. I looked around, and I had seen some Christo stuff way back in the day on eBay for customs, but I checked around because I saw some superhero stuff, and my collection started growing after I found that. I started buying some Phoenix custom bricks and some Eclipse graphics, trying to catch up to what I had missed around then. And I used Adobe Illustrator and do graphic design, so I was looking at how these were made, and I was like, this doesn't seem like that hard, not knowing everything that goes into it. But from a design standpoint, I figured I'd dabble around and try to make my own custom figures. And it was a real uphill battle for I was originally going to do everything in-house directly with printing and stuff and trying to buy my own pad printer. And that was a real fiasco with fumes and ink and using a manual printer. But I overcame that and found somewhere else to get them printed. And then just tried to adapt my style more into a Lego aesthetic as time has gone on. Definitely my first stuff I had made, I thought it looked good. And I appreciate that other people did too, because they were selling. But, looking back, I definitely found you always see the flaws after you're done with something.
Yeah,
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So
don't get me wrong, we'll cover that because obviously we're going to ask about you've revised stuff. So we'll cover that. Don't get me wrong.
Sure.
I stalked your Flickr page before we did the intro.
Nice.
We look back to the beginning. I noticed even in the early days with your figs, you did a lot of tinkering and made additions to them. I think you had an Iron Spider fig, and you'd get the KO part, the knockoff parts, and put the spider arms on, and you got some Chrome parts, probably from Chrome. Was it Chrome City Customs? I think was one of the brands that you.
Yeah, Chrome over in Poland. Yeah, yep.
Yeah, so you've always had that sort of drive to improve, and is that sort of what led you into creating your own figs? Was that like a natural
Yeah.
evolution, or?
It definitely was, yeah. Like, I mean, I would buy like I'd buy like customs and official figs and like see what people were doing online for like upgrades to them, and for like the customs too. And then even like the knockoff stuff, like, you know, I don't like knockoff like figures, like the bodies, but like sometimes they have useful pieces for accessories and whatnot. Until something better comes along, because it's all like third party at that point. For me, that's how I look at it.
I've still got a classic Ultron style helmet from a knockoff brand, and that's still the best,
awesome.
You know, Ultron you can find out there. So yeah, you know,
I think I have that one too. Yeah, like the comic book one. That one's awesome.
Yeah, and they did some amazing big fig.
Is that the chrome plated one I saw on your Flickr?
Oh, no, that was a different. I think that was like a custom one of the official like parts, but this one was like a really weird DOPF brand knockoff.
Yeah. And it was the comics Ultron as well, full on comics look, you know. So
yep.
Yeah, it's really cool. But yeah, I mean, like I said, they did big figs as well, didn't they? They were amazing things. Some of the big figs. The
big figs are really cool.
Yeah.
Yep. I've kind of moved away from the big figs, like personally, for my collecting, just because of the way I display them. So I kind of keep like the minifigure like bodies are more like what I like when they do, like when they finally made the Hulk into an official minifigure from the movies. I like that, or the Christo one. But I think the big figs are still awesome. I still have kept all of them. They're still in a bin in my collection. But yeah,
you can see that though in your actual brand, because obviously you've got a Colossus fig, and that's a fig obviously instead of a big fig. You know, and that character would normally be larger, wouldn't he, than a typical human?
Yeah.
So yeah, you can definitely see where you get that. You like that aesthetic and how it sort of meets into the brand. You know.
Oh yeah, thanks for noticing. I definitely I tried to bulk him up a little bit with the armor, but definitely still keeping to the minifigure body. The one interesting thing I just saw was those one knockoffs of like Kingpin and Thanos and stuff. They have like the bigger upper body, which is it's an interesting piece. Definitely something that caught my eye. I don't know if we'll do anything with it for the business, but it's just something out there that I thought was cool.
Abnormal and Jin have also accomplished something similar. They're working on.
Oh yeah,
you know, they refer to as their upline or whatever, and it looks really good. It really, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. There's a way to find that aesthetic that allows you to still feel Lego-ish.
Yeah,
just
I think
like an action figure.
Definitely, for me, I look at it like with the arms and the hands, depending on how they do that part. Like for that, because I recently just got like approved of that one, you know, because at first I thought it was a little too not Lego, but now I'm starting to look at it again, like maybe
there's these the ones with large upper bodies and have normal Lego legs on them.
Yep. Like the Kingpin and Venom.
Yeah. Brett, do you remember the nipple cap? One of those. There's a picture. He's a massive veiny torso, topless cap. It reminds us
but that was like a Dragon Ball Z top, wasn't it?
Oh, was it? Oh my god.
Yeah, just veiny toes on display. Everything wrong with the world was in that thing. You know?
Didn't it have like molded abs?
Yeah, full on molded arms and veins too. He had molded veins. It was just
oh my god.
No, what but going back to, you mentioned the Venom. So Abnormal did Venom with that larger molded top, and it did have traditional smaller hands. And through customer feedback, they decided later on they released an actual upgrade pack that gave you larger hands that just fit it better, and it does look a lot better. So
someone for Venom.
You have this giant body with these tiny hands.
Yeah, yeah, because I think it would have to flow, like you're saying, you know, for the whole thing. So
yeah,
but like it's definitely, but now like as a completionist kind of thing, I don't know if there would be a Colossus 2.0 down the line, you know, because like that's the whole thing, but consistent look. So we'll see.
I think it does a brand best when they think of the entire line in its entirety. They plan it all out rather than just trying to figure out one fig at a time. Because I know I've seen other brands that have tried to pull off, team sets that they all have like a similar jumpsuit or whatever. But next thing you know, this one has has long hair, so then they remove part of the suit because the hair gets in the way. And then this one has an accessory, but in order to add the accessory, you have to remove this other part of the fig. So then it looks all fine and dandy buying them one at a time, but if you put them together, they don't actually match. One's got a collar, one does not. One has shoulder pads, one does not.
It's like you end up buying more from different brands, isn't it? You know,
right. Right, and the goal is to buy from one brand so they all match.
Yeah.
So
Right,
I think that's. I mean, not to disparage the figs themselves; they look great. But if you're one of those people that notice these things on the regular, it could be a bit discouraging when you really just want that nice, complete uniform set.
Yeah, the uniform look would be the end goal for sure.
I mean, I think the only thing I think of outside of customs is like, or not outside of customs, but like folks that collect like clones or whatever. If they start buying from different places and they have different aesthetics, the way certain elements are depicted, that would probably drive you crazy if they weren't all uniform.
Oh yeah, that's probably like the epitome of that with the clone. Yeah, the clone armor. Yeah, that's a good example.
Going back to the brand KO Customs, I'm assuming KO stands for knockout.
Yeah, that was yep.
Okay, because I realized I've never said it out loud or thought about it.
Yeah.
Or,
Yep, it was supposed to be knockout, but my initials are KO, so that's kind of what played into it too.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
I wonder I always thought it was your name, but then I went back to Flickr and saw that it was knockout, and I'd forgotten that as well. It had been so long since it had sort of been shown. So yeah, I thought it was your name for a long time too, to be honest with you. Yeah, so.
Yeah, the initials definitely
Cool.
came from that, and I was trying to think of like a brand, and I really didn't have anything to go on. I was like, oh, KO, like knockout, minifigs or something. So the logo definitely like is cooler just as KO than writing it all out. So that's why I liked it.
Right. Well, I like it.
Yeah.
I like that pop art look to it.
Thanks. Thank you.
But being that so the brand is your name.
Yeah. Yeah.
So for those who don't know, you are a team of one.
Yep. Yep. I do basically everything on the off, like when it's a big thing, like a big like Sentinel or just even packing. Like my family will come in and help out, but the real thing is all just me, basically.
Yeah. So basically, from conception through design, through production, it's just you doing everything, and then you get the things back from the factory. Then you have to package it all up individually. You have to mail everything to the different resellers.
Yep. Yeah, I do all the orders, all the and all those emails people get. Those aren't like automated. Like, I spend a good 2 hours like sitting there writing out the same like "thank you for your order," like kind of thing.
Bro, you need some templates.
It's a copy and paste, but like I never like adapted like the Google like workflow. I just kind of like left it as like this works for right now, so I'll just leave it like this.
But being this is a heavy burden on you, but also this is not your full-time job.
Right. Yeah. Right, this is my after hours thing.
Right. So it's an ongoing trend. I think we've only had one guest so far where it's just like, yeah, this is what I do. Ethan at K-Town.
That's awesome.
And Joe, Citizen Brick. Ethan and Joe, this is their business. This is how they pay the bills. But from Jaka, Phoenix, you, everyone is just like, I do this when I have time.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's something to be lauded when, especially for yourself. I imagine there's a bit of a challenge. You being here, your factories are overseas.
Yeah, like right now. Yeah, I jumped around a lot getting to this point, but now it's overseas. So.
Yeah, so you're in a similar position same as Phoenix Customs in that you are sending your stuff overseas to be produced. Then you have to wait for your samples to come all the way back so you can check them out.
Yep. Yeah, there's a lot of back and forth. Usually it's pretty good though. Not like too much of a lapse. But the scheduling is always tricky. It's always you never really know when something's going to be done officially. So I try my best to keep it on track.
Would you consider yourself a bit of a control freak for quality and stuff?
Yeah, for sure. Like we try to do a lot of it by photo or video versus like actual like samples because I remember like I know Phoenix and the podcast like they mail a lot of stuff. We haven't had to do that yet for a lot of things. I would have done that with the Gambit one just because I know that was a little tricky for like the fragility of that part a little bit, and I regret that a little bit. But moving forward, it's something we've addressed for future figures for them to be a little sturdier with like thin pieces like that. Because I was doing a lot of the injection molding myself, and that was the first time I moved over to doing it outside. So that was just something I wasn't anticipating. But
those Gambit pieces were kind of revolutionary. They were really, really sweet.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Like for like the coat and stuff or the cards were like tile. The cards were just tiles that were printed all around to make it look like it was energized from the bottom. So that was something I was really excited about.
It's funny because there were quite a few accessories that came with that, if I recall. There was the bow staff, there was the cards, there was something else. I feel like
There was
I got them from you. I mean, I got them and then I sold them because there was somebody who was like a big Gambit fan that missed out, and I was like,
oh, that's cool.
I'm a casual
Yeah,
X-Men fan, so I sold them at cost for retail, but I kind of missed. So now I do not have a Gambit in my collection at all of any brand.
I think
So-
just a PSA, and I don't want them to get like flooded. But if anybody listening to this, I'm pretty sure last I looked, LCM has a few left because they came out after like me and Diamond Custom Bricks sold everything, but I think he had some left over that he didn't put up. And I think there's some on there. Yeah.
Go and buy another one, Brett. No, damn it.
Yeah. But I think they're selling them as a pair for like the variant and the regular one. So it's quite a bit of money. So I didn't intend it for it to be that way.
Yeah.
That was on me.
I was curious, what made you decide on that many accessories for that fake? Like what kind of what prompts you? What's your mentality in determining how many accessories to put? Because sometimes it's a blessing, but also
it's too much.
It drives up the cost.
Yeah,
and you can only display it one way.
Right.
It's a first world problem for collectors. But
I definitely try to think of that, like for everything. I guess with It kind of depends on the character a little bit, but for the most part, like if it's like someone like Colossus, there's not really much you can pull off with that one for accessories, like other than doing different parts for the figure, I would think, or like some kind of wall thing or broken. But like iconic accessories for like Gambit with the cards, I was thinking like if someone made like a little mock or a display, and I think the Sentinel plays into my thinking of this a little bit too, for like if somebody had both and they had a display of it, like and they wanted it to be like he's throwing the cards. Now they're 3 separate cards. You could put them on the battlefield, like one flying out, one leaving his hand. Like that was kind of what I was thinking behind that one. But I try to go like all out, as long as it's not gonna like destroy the price of something. Like me and Diamond will kind of look at that and plan that. The other thing was the wave. We had that like accessory of like the energy.
That was the one. Yeah,
that was because then that way it was like, you could have the cards on the wave, or you could take them off and have it be like a couple already are reaching their destination of the target he was aiming at.
Anybody who's been was a Jim Lee fan in the 90s, that was like, those accessories were peak.
Yeah. I was a big Mini-Mates fan back in the day. If you guys are familiar with that toy, it's almost like Lego, but they're like figurines. And I think I always look at those a little bit when I go to do a figure, because they tackled them all pretty well for what they did. And I think that wave thing is in like every Gambit figure and action figure and toy. So it's something I knew I wanted to have for that. And I didn't want the accessory to be like molded together, so that's why we did the tiles. And I kind of thought that was more consistent with Lego a little bit. I know they've printed like a hand of like a whole hand of playing cards printed on one tile, but they've also done ones where it's just one single card, and I think they've done that on more like the Joker card or something. So I was just trying to, keep it like consistent with like a playing card thing for that.
So being that you're a one-man operation, and I feel like your production has gotten faster, or you're just announcing things when they're closer to being finished, because you don't really do a lot of pre-orders, it seems.
Yeah, I've tried to. Oh, sorry.
No, I was just saying, because I was wondering if that ever led to like you getting scooped by another brand doing a similar character, because quite recently with Gambit, as soon as yours came out, another Gambit came out by somebody else. I don't know if that was just fortunate timing.
Yeah, definitely happy. Like, I mean, at the same time, like people will still, I don't make that many of them. There's usually around 100 of each figure. So like, as long as I make my money that I've put into it back, like, it's not about like making a huge profit or anything. It's just like making the figure and trying to do something cool. It's fun. So like, I try to like be first with it though, just because some of these characters are like, no one's really done them, and like the reaction is different from the public. It's like, oh, another Gambit figure. Like, I don't want to seem like that kind of thing. So we've been trying to get things done faster, especially when I do the collaborations with Diamond Custom Bricks, just to get them done a little quicker. Because like in the past, there's just been timing of waiting and like trying to kind of raise the money for it and stuff without doing the pre-order. And I know a lot of people were happy from what I've read in messages that we don't do pre-orders. Really, they're kind of like ready to go when they're announced. But we're thinking about maybe looking into doing a little differently, just because of some people like miss out on the figure because they do come out so quick. So if we did a pre-order, we could gauge all the benefits of the pre-order. We'll know how many we're going to have to make, and
so like an open pre-order.
Yeah, like I've seen like companies do like up to 2 weeks, even like something like that. Open, we'll just cap it and then maybe make a few extra for the people that didn't know. or like, for quality.
That I feel is the happy medium.
Yeah.
Because you know there's interest in the character.
Right.
They know they get a chance to reserve slot, because some folks, they have to buy these things, through the websites and whatnot, and maybe they have to wait till payday, and that's in a couple of weeks, and it gives them a chance to kind of save up for it.
Yeah.
So. People shouldn't be reticent about it now, because you've shown that you're consistent.
Right. I hope I've built some trust. Yeah.
Yeah. So there shouldn't really be an issue there in regards to trust or anything. I know, don't be wrong, you'll probably have a brief period where people will be like, oh, well, I have to wait longer now, because obviously before you were putting up orders and the figs were almost ready, weren't they? But
right.
So I'm sure there'll be a little bit of pushback there from some people that can't sort of deal with the wait. But yeah, for the most part.
Oh no, I just think it'll be a little smoother. Like, because then I get some emails like we release them, or DMs. We release them like Saturday morning, and then I'll get messages like Monday of like, oh, I missed this. Do you have any more left? And like, usually there'll be a few, but the last couple ones, like Gambit flew off of my website and the resellers in like a day. So that was crazy. And I just felt bad, like, because I'm a collector too, and I know how I feel when I wake up and I see something's like sold out that I didn't even really know was coming out. I try to give some leeway that it's like teasers, build the hype and stuff, and get it going. But like, there's always people that don't see it, and it would help too with like financially, because it is a lot of a burden to put all this to make a figure, and then hope you get the money back after. So,
well, if folks listening haven't done this already, any brands that you want to make sure you don't miss, go into your Instagram app, and there is a little bell that you can turn on notifications for when they post a story or a post, and that will get pushed to the top of your feed. I've done that for all the brands.
That's smart. I should do that.
That's all I can really do, just so I know what's coming.
Yeah. There's a lot to keep up with and everything.
It really is.
Yeah.
It really is. But one thing, speaking of keeping up with, you've been very good with your updates as well. Throughout production, you've always been these are packed, or these are one of the resellers, or we've had a slight issue with this, or all orders will be shipped out by this date. You've been very consistent with that. So I also believe, like with Phil, I don't think you get a lot of gruff for the open pre-orders, because like I said, you've proven yourself that not only do you deliver, but you keep people informed along the way.
Yeah, I definitely think I thank you for that.
It's one thing to be delivering's great, but if you're quiet between now and 4 months from now when it's ready,
then it's suspicious,
it's definitely suspicious. It comes a nice surprise, but it leaves a lot to be desired when you don't know what's going on.
Yeah, and like also too, like the different part of it is that like it's a lot of fun. Like when I get these emails and stuff about like how the progress is going and it's looking good. And like, I want to like show people, but then I'm also like, well, I got to keep it like a secret, because it has to be like a big like reveal. So it'll be fun now too, because I can like show how the figure's coming out. And usually it's always pretty close to the render. If not, we fix it.
Yeah, I was gonna say your Gambit definitely came out very close to the render.
Awesome, thanks. Yeah, those are always cool to see them when it's coming to life,
So Phil, you had some questions you want to ask about some of his earlier figs. Do you want to get into that?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose there's still a little bit to cover in regards to, just the brand in general. So, just wanted to ask you. You mentioned before we started recording, but once you were looking into sourcing a pad printer, and I knew you were a smaller operation, but I didn't know it was just you. So, at any point, have you been has everything been done in house?
I never did the printing in house. I attempted to, but it never really materialized. I was doing the injection molding in house before I came. Like when I took a break for a while, all of it was done in house, and then when I came back, I started doing it overseas, like with the printing. The Ant-Man helmet from back in the day, that one was done in my garage by hand. All the Wolverine first version figures were all done by me, and so were the Nightcrawler stuff.
That's actually really cool, though. That kind of makes me appreciate it even more now, to be honest.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, it was definitely a labor of love doing all that.
Nice. And Ant-Man was a grail fig for me because I missed it somehow. I think I was on a bit of a hiatus for a while in the Flickr days, and I missed Ant-Man, so it took me a long time to track one down. So that I appreciate that even more now than I did for having to track one down. That's awesome.
Thank you. That's really cool.
So yeah, like you said, we're going to talk about some of your older figs. So
okay.
As Ed had to correct me, embarrassingly.
You were close though. I mean, that you had the official. Yeah.
So he had to correct me when we interviewed him that the first fig that you did was a digital Udon Taskmaster. That's how you started out, and then you later revisited that in pad after you'd done several releases. So why did you start with Udon? Was it like a Grail fig for you at the time, or?
Yeah, it's funny because he actually corrected me about it too. Like, yeah, he messaged me after you guys had the podcast, and he's like, hey, like, settle this for me. Was it this one first? This one? I was like, oh, it was Wolverine, and he's like, no, it was the Taskmaster, and I'm like, you're right, it was the Taskmaster.
I was closer than you were, Kyle, as well.
Yeah. Well, oh no, because I did one Wolverine with like a by hand custom, and I had it digitally printed right after the Taskmaster, and he bought both of those from me.
Right.
So I just forgot
he
about
was your first customer.
Yeah. He saw it on Flickr and was like, "Those are really cool." And like, I made 5 of them just because I was like trying to make sure I did it right, and like that actually like inspired me to be like a store, like that whole incident. So it was pretty cool.
That was your canon event.
Yeah, it was my canon event. That's hilarious.
I feel guilty for missing these figs now, Kyle. But like I said in the episode with Ed, though, I was paranoid of people. I was very mistrusting. So until you were sort of set up as a brand, I was like, oh, I'm not touching that.
I don't blame you. Back then, you didn't really know. Like, it wasn't like it is now, where you at least assume you're going to get the figure. Like, for the most part, these were just like people, you know. So like with like,
you got 5
like,
send me. You're like, who's this dodgy guy? You know?
Yeah, you send them the money on PayPal directly. Like, it was like. But that was like the store version. You were buying it from the guy that made it. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah.
There was a lot more trust back in those days like that, because that's how most brands operated, wasn't it? You know. So.
Yep. But yeah, so I'm sorry. So it was the Taskmaster. Yeah. So yeah, he actually was a character I always loved, and the design of the Udon version I always thought was really cool. I had a guy make a custom action figure of him for me when I was still in high school, of that comic right after I found it, and after the guy made it, he ended up making like 10 or 12 more because he posted it, and everyone was like, oh, that's awesome. And they started doing the same thing. But I was like the art director of like how you should do it. I'm like make an energy shield, like all this, put a magnet in it, all this stuff. So when I went to get back into Lego, I think Pop Punk Monk had a custom of him, of Taskmaster by Udon, and it jogged my memory. And I'm like, oh, that's awesome. Like, but it wasn't my cup of tea for the design. And I was like, I wonder if I could do one. So I did. And I made it in Photoshop. Not even a vector Illustrator file. Yeah, and I had it sent, and they digitally printed it, and it looked okay. I mean, it doesn't look great now, you know, but like I painted the hood like sand blue, and it was a cool like first one out of the gate. But then I knew I had to go back eventually one day and make him way better, and I'm glad I did. He turned out really nice.
Did it really feel like a full circle thing as well, coming back to doing that? Did you really feel like I've arrived, you know, when you finally sort of went back and redid that work?
Like, I was getting out of college at the time, and I didn't know how many more figures I'd be able to do at the time, because I was like moving and stuff, and I didn't really know like, oh, how many more do I have left? And I was like, well, I should just do it now. I should just get the shield mold made and mold some shields and make them. So I did. and then I ended up taking a break for a while, so it was good that I got it down out of my system before it was like too late, so to speak, or no.
So one thing we've established is I definitely need to be fired as the Flickr historian.
No, you were good. You had the official.
That's 2 figs now. I've
the Nightcrawler was the official first one. You know what I mean? Like the other 2 were like
that was the pad, the beginning of the pad, and I'm a pad snob, so yeah, we can see it. So put on Taskmaster, then a digital Wolverine, and then you made the jump to pad with Nightcrawler version 1. Now, this was a really big deal in those early days because it came with custom parts, and that's something only really Crystal was doing at the time, if I remember correctly. And obviously, I'm doubting whether I am remembering correctly, but
no, I think you're right. Yeah, actually, that was my whole draw. I wanted to come on the scene, like really, like like make a mark. So I was like, I was like, I got to get some molded pieces, like because only Krista. I had the same to a T, the same thought. I was like, if I could make a Nightcrawler wasn't even in the Lego Marvel game, so I don't think anybody had ever seen what a rendering of him as a Lego would look like. And I was like, that's the perfect one to do. He's an X-Men character. He's one of my favorites. I can do an injection molded piece. I'll make the tail movable. I had all these I was like, boom. And the legs kind of sucked. So I had to redo the legs because they were all...
Yeah, I remember that. I remember that was a couple of months for our legs to come in,
Oh, that was a real roller coaster ride on the first one.
Most significantly about those custom parts, though, you advertised them as being made from recycled Lego bricks as well. And I remember that being mind blowing at the time. And I know it wasn't just me. I know it was a big talking point for a lot of us.
Oh, that's cool.
So why? What was the logic behind that? Was it sort of an authenticity thing, color matching?
It was color matching. That was the real issue because they were such the specific color of that medium blue was what I used for his head. It was such a specific shade of blue, and that it was movable. I didn't want to use paint or anything like that or have it be off. So if I got the right color plastic and I chopped it up and put them into my machine, it could function on that ball joint and it would be the same color. And that was the big thing. And it worked fairly well. The melting point of that injection molding machine was always a little bit finicky. So that's why there was like some issues with like the red plastic that kind of like once you popped the ball joint on, you really should never take it off back then. But yeah, I think it worked out fairly well for that. But then they made that devil tail piece. They always did, like, it really has been a thing ever since I've started. It's probably a lot of people, but they always make a new part right after I invest a lot of time and energy, effort, and money into doing it my way. They always make the perfect thing right after.
A few brands have actually said they think that Lego are more aware of this scene than we realise. And they do sometimes take inspiration from some of the custom parts that are out there, because it seems to happen with a lot of frequency, to be honest with you. So it's very possible they saw that and thought, right, let's one up him. Let's show him how the masters do it, you know?
Yeah, because the Nightcrawler one was like right after that. The Devil Tail came out from the CMF series for the Trick or Treater one, I think it was. And I simultaneously they made the elf hair in the Friends line like around then. So two that would have been great. And then I got them back though. I used them later on.
Yeah. So funny enough, we're going to ask about the version 2s later. So that sort of ties in, but that's perfect. Yeah. So this is a perfect example. Parts availability leads to a new one. But so I'm a bit spot, so obviously I know Wolverine was the second pad fig. Were the parts on that recycled Lego again, or did you move away from that?
Yeah, for the original pad Wolverine, that was recycled bright light orange plastic for the shoulder pads.
Right, okay. Because it's something you seem to have moved away from a little bit in the more recent years, and I wondered why that is. Is it sort of a cost factor, perhaps, or is it,
though it was just because those molds are like, they were super expensive. I think like back then they were around like a couple $1,000s to get like those molds done. So I'd have to really find another figure that I'd get a lot more use out of the mold for. Like maybe the shoulder pads one I could crank up again because like, there's a lot of Wolverine costumes that have shoulder pads. So we'll see. But
Ed will buy all of them as well. So
yeah, his Wolverine looks amazing. Him and Adams that's coming out. I'm hyped.
Yeah. Well, I was saying I don't even like the original Wolverine design. That cowl, it looks kind of silly on him. But I literally said in our group chat when he unveiled it, I said, Ed, I hate it. It's perfect.
It's funny.
It's so spot on.
I feel the same way. I don't really like the way the suit looked in the comic books, but his minifigure of it looks amazing. Like it looks accurate, but I think it looks a little cooler than the
Lego
suit.
figure.
Yeah, it fits a little better or something.
I've behind me on my shelf, I've got the Marvel Legends of that suit.
Oh, nice, man.
Because I bought the set of him fighting the Hulk. And
that's awesome.
It looks goofy in 3D. It really does.
Yeah.
But so yeah, obviously, so you obviously had an extreme eye for detail in that regard. Then I mean, I assumed that it was color matching as one of the main factors. And you still do that even now, even in a different manner. Like, for example, I know that with your Gambit fig, you made sure that the paint matched the sand blue color from, I think it was a Battle Droid, Star Wars Battle Droid, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So how much sort of effort goes into that level of detail that you like to sort of maintain?
The color matching is probably the thing I put like the most level of detail into. Like, funny as it might sound, like because I do graphic design for a living, and I have like the Pantone color books. So I recently got there's like a Pantone overhead hood you can buy, like if you're a company or something, and you put your books in there, and the lighting is set up perfectly to be like the ideal light to look at colors and match between samples. So I got one, and I've been using it like crazy to match all the stuff for Gambit and for, I don't know if not for Colossus, but he didn't really require that much. It was a straight up red. So, but like for Gambit and then for Iceman, especially trying to get like a metallic blue that didn't look too off from the figure, but still stood out on the plastic enough. Like, that was like a whole thing. Like I spent weeks doing that.
So you do agonize over these things, yeah?
Yeah, that's my one thing. And the design, like I'll go back and modify the design a little bit, but like the colors, I just hate it when get a Lego figure, official or custom, and like it just looks mismatched. Yeah, so I try. Like I'm definitely. I know that the newer Wolverine, the shoulder pad color was slightly off a little bit, and it bothers me to this day. But I don't want to ruin it for anybody out there. I still think it's really close. Like it's not, but definitely not ever want to have that kind of stuff happen in the future.
Heard it here first.
Yeah.
Version 3 Wolverine coming at you.
If you do a version 3, I'm going to have to come over there and kill you.
No,
or
I definitely
shoulder pad accessory set.
Yeah. I definitely want to try and knock out more of the main roster of the team before I do any duplicates at this point. The Iceman thing was that was like again, like I'm finishing making the transparent one in 2020 and I'm like, wow, this is going to be cool. No one's ever done a figure on transparent plastic before. And as it's coming out, boom, opal. Yeah, the opal, satin opal colors come out and I'm like, wow, that really couldn't look more like ice. Because like I looked at so many Lego sets and everything and how they did ice at the time, and it was always either translucent blue or like a medium blue for like the other stuff that they did. And I'm like, I got this. And then they did that. So now
you can look back historically now at times where you hear a strange noise, a noise something like fuck, and you now know it was probably Kyle
like
discovering these parts at some point.
Like Interstellar, like me, like in the past, like slamming on my like, don't make it, wait a year. But yeah, that one was just like right place, right time. I was able to get a whole load of those bodies and the hair. That was another thing. I always wanted him to have a hairpiece as an option because sometimes he doesn't. Like newer comics, I think he does, but the older ones, the more classic look, he's like kind of the bald one. But now the customer, the collector can choose how they want to have it. But yeah, that was just, I had the access to the parts and I was like, well, got to pull the trigger because these might not ever come around again. So
yeah.
So in your time, you've had a pretty wide cadre of figs that you've put out, but obviously the focus has been mostly on the X-Men and mutant lore. Is there a reason you focus on those specifically? Is it just you grew up with them, you inspire them, you relate to them? We had a whole conversation about this on a recent episode, so I'm just curious about what your take is.
Yeah. So for me, like, I've always loved the X-Men as like one of my favorite Marvel like character lineups. I just think they're so colorful and they're all like so unique individually. And when you put them all together, it's a really cool thing too, because it's like this like blast of different suits and powers next to each other. So I've always wanted to see them like taking on the Sentinels, battling in like a scene, and like Lego never really offered that. They had like the one set, and it was decent. I like it a little more now than I did when it came out. When it came out, I was like, "This is complete garbage. This thing sucks. The thing's this small." But now I'm like, they did an okay. Now that I'm like entrenched in the Lego aesthetic, I'm like, they did a good job for like what they did. But yeah, like versus doing like other figures, I just saw like that they weren't making any of the X-Men, and once I got on a roll with it, I had a lot of fun designing them. My brother and I always watched the cartoons when we were kids, like the X-Men cartoon. And that was always the suits I wanted to draw from to make the whole lineup of. I just think that those are the most iconic for me for like the 90s. And then I did like a couple other figures, but there's far and few between when it comes to doing that aren't on the X-Men team. Like I did the Taskmaster one because he was like, I thought that the skull mask was so cool. I had to do that one. And then the Deathlock one I did that one was just one that I happened to come upon on Flickr. Like someone had done, like now they're like all over the place. The people that do like designs of just they just post designs of figures.
Yeah.
But like this back then that was kind of rare. So I saw his design of this guy. His name was Sergio. I'm trying to remember his screen name though. But he did the design of Deathlock, and it was really cool, like with the split face with the zombie and everything. I was like, oh, this is awesome. Like you want to work with me? And we modified his design a little bit, and like I did some tweaking to it, and we had it printed, and that one was like I only made like 50 of that one. I don't know how well it would do.
Well, yeah, it was such an obscure character, because I remember thinking at the time, what a deep cut that is. Do you know what I mean? It's, I mean, it's one of those ones, I have to Google it, and usually I'm a font of knowledge with comics because I have no life. So, it's, yeah.
Me too, man, yeah. He had, like, in some artworks, he has, like, the American flag on his on his armor on the front. I always thought that was so cool. Like, it looked like one of those, like, 80s, like Starcom, like, figures, like, those, like little, like, they were from, my brother had them.
Oh,
And
Starcom was so awesome.
yeah, it reminded me of that.
It's almost like a mutilated GI Joe or something, doesn't it? It looks like, yeah.
I was a Universal Soldier, alternate universe thing.
Yep, and it just had a lot of crossover stuff for me, and I think he does appear in the X-Men comics a little bit. So, not that factored into it,
He
but
popped up. He popped up during an Avengers crossover in recent history.
yeah.
Well, he was on Agents of Shield, the show as well. Actually,
Yeah.
This was after you'd done the figure. So did you have trouble selling that figure at the time? Did it sort of?
I think he I'm trying to remember how my sales were back then. Like, I think it always was just like I would sell a few when it dropped, and then like it'd trickle out over a year or so, and then I still have a couple left that are floating around. So maybe one day.
Different world to these days. You drop a figure, it's gone in 4 minutes. Like,
I know, right? Yeah.
You can always auction it or do a giveaway.
Yeah, I might do something. I've been waiting for something cool. I've been trying to think of an opportunity to do something special for like the followers and stuff.
You could do a Geek Exchange giveaway. I'll take it.
That'd be cool. Let's do one. Yeah, let's do a Deathlock giveaway. I have an extra one. Yeah, awesome. I'll send it out to you this week, or when the post office opens up again.
Yeah. Well, obviously, the next one is in 2 days, so it's not going to happen.
Oh, okay.
But the next Geek Exchange will be the 20th. So yeah, kind of a cool milestone.
Awesome. Yeah, I'll definitely send you one. Yeah, he was cool. That was when I was using a company in Australia to do my printing, and they've since closed up. But they were cool. They had like good pricing and stuff, but they weren't always like the best quality. Like they would mess some stuff up, and I had to tell them to fix it. But they did very well for like what it was compared to the time.
I remember the quality being quite decent with Deathlock. I never had any issues with it. I thought it was very, very nice and vibrant. It had metallic printing too, didn't it?
Yeah, he really did.
Back then, metallic printing was such a crapshoot as well, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So it came out great, I thought, to be honest.
Thanks, man. I really wanted that flag to be awesome on the Deathlock one, so I had him mix his own inks. He took silver and mixed it with red, mixed it with blue for like the metallic on the flag on the torso. So that was kind of cool.
That's sweet.
Yeah, that one was always a special one. But yeah, generally the X-Men are always my favorite team, and I've always wanted to build my own mock of them fighting some awesome Sentinels. So I've been slowly like assembling that to happen.
My totally jaded self here now then is thinking. So basically, we're just your crowdfunding to get that team.
Some days I guess that's one way to look at it. In a way, it's like I can't just make one. But no, I mean, it's always a lot of fun doing this stuff, and like it's my hobby. It's like my thing. All of my friends and family know me, and I have this business and stuff, so it's like a part of me now. But I'm still blown away by the response from everybody, and that people buy these in the first place. Like I don't want to sound like I take any of it for granted. It means a lot, so I always appreciate.
Do you take feedback from customers? Like I know you probably have a plan about who you want to make in what order.
Yeah.
But do you ever like start like, wow, I was going to make this, but I'm getting a lot of questions about that. Maybe I should just push that to the front of the line. Do you ever get in that situation?
Maybe not so much for like the order, because that's kind of hard to like figure out in a way. It mostly comes about like with pieces of like what comes along. If I amass some pieces kind of by chance of something, like if like they put something on Pick-a-Brick that's kind of rare, or I figure out a way to get something, that kind of determines the order a little bit. But in terms of like design notes or like feedback on that from customers, I definitely take that into account. Like we were just talking before we started, but like the Gambit trench coat thing, I know that kind of divided people a little bit, because like some people liked it that it was like a molded piece, it wasn't cloth. Other people didn't like the way I did it not being like on the arms, and I had like reasons for all of why I did it the way I did, trying to make it closer to Lego. I think one day they'll make one close to that. If they start to do trench coats, they'll do it almost like the not over molded, but like molded skirts they did for Trolls, the movie. But like, I think now I don't want to like ostracize the people that did like it. So I think now I'm going to try and do like a split. If I do another character with a trench coat, if there is another X-Men character that has a trench coat, naming who that could be. But we'll split the difference and do like a printed legs maybe, and the molded piece to keep it consistent. I've even thought about doing like just offering a set of printed legs for Gambit with the coat on the sides. So we're going to look into that if that's possible.
You sort of touched on that earlier. I was thinking it might be a good idea to, like you said, you're moving towards a sort of an open pre-order. You could just do an open
Yeah,
pre-order separately for the legs themselves, for
exactly.
example. So you keep costs down that way, and then you've got, you haven't got to worry about overprinting or overspending.
Right.
You know.
Oh yeah, and with the just I forgot to mention with the color thing with the battle droid because I didn't comment on that part. Yeah, that was like when I saw his costume in certain things, I'm like, that looks really similar to that battle droid Technic set I had when I was a kid. And I tracked down the pieces of it and did the color matching because I wanted that to be the perfect one. Because like I always think it's cool when Lego references itself and like even in the sets or like in like their little movies they do or whatever jokes when they Legoify stuff. Like I just watched that Avengers one they put out, the Code Red thing, and they had like some like Lego, like in the beginning, the buildings in the background are the modular sets. So like they do like cool little things that if you know type of deal. So I like to include that in my stuff, and I always try to use with the colors official Lego colors that have existed somewhere. Like if they've printed it or if it's like plastic, I always try to use the real deal and not just like pick one out of a hat.
So obviously you've predominantly Marvel figures, like 99% of your releases have been Marvel. There is, of course, one exception, and that is Red X.
Yep.
For those who don't know who Red X is a fantastic character from an equally fantastic show, Teen Titans. So what prompted that then? What prompted this sudden shift to a DC character?
I think at the time I was in this whole like building out my business phase, and I'm like, well, I got to start making. I've always liked DC too. I don't want people to get the wrong idea. I have a whole, probably half my collection is DC, but everybody does it so well. I don't even have the room sometimes. Like there's been one or two characters I've thought about doing for DC, but then they come along, somebody makes them, and they do a great job, and I buy them. Like with Red X, it was just one that no one ever did. And I didn't see it being done anytime soon. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but that might have been around the time they started making some Teen Titans characters, like that set.
Yeah, it wasn't long after, because I think we started with a Beast Boy, didn't we? And then we had a Starfire. Yeah.
I think that's what...
There was a Raven, there was a Beast Boy, there was a Cyborg, yeah.
I think that's what inspired it, because I was like, oh, these guys are cool, but it'd be so cool if they made Red X one day. And I'm like, they're never going to do that. He was in like 3 episodes.
He was amazing though, wasn't he? Such a cool character, And, yeah, so because I remember thinking at the time, it was, you were literally the only shot we would have ever had to have that character, and I was really grateful for it.
Awesome.
So I mean, were you a huge fan of Teen Titans then, or was it just sort of a case of like these sets? You thought it's a good time to put it out, or?
I guess I always love superhero stuff, but like the more I self-analyze it, I think I was more into the cartoons than the comics. Like I read some comics, but I always got most of my information and the way I always remembered it and like reenacting, playing with my action figures was always stuff from the cartoons, like X-Men, the Spider-Man cartoon, and like Justice League, Batman, and then Teen Titans. I always liked that one. That one was like more cartoony. I definitely enjoyed it as everything too, but like I was actually having a hard time when I designed Red X of like where I should draw the line. If I should make him more like exaggerated like in the cartoon, or if I should do more of like if they just made him a straight up superhero like now, what he would look like. So that's what I tried to do with like the muscles and stuff.
That was a lot more complicated of an answer. I thought it was just going to be because he has another skull face like Taskmaster.
That's part of it though. Yeah. definitely like the skull face. Yeah. I forgot to say that part, but yeah.
Did you ever think of making more Teen Titans characters, or did you feel the ship had sailed on the show by that point, or?
I wouldn't like rule it out, just because like you got to change it up sometimes once in a while. And I'm on this X-Men trend right now too, and I'm more committed to it now because like now like the new cartoon is coming back too, so I kind of feel like the time is right to do it as like a. Not like what's hot, like that's not what drives it, but like,
I think,
yeah, like I mean, it definitely wouldn't be. It's something I'm already into. I'm going to do it regardless. Now would be a good time to stick with it, but it's always good to change things up creatively and just make something different. So
it is logical, though, isn't it? As well, like you said, you got to hit something in the zeitgeist, otherwise you run the risk of it not selling. I mean, the only person who seems to go against that is Joe from CB. He just makes whatever he likes. If it's from 30 years ago, he says, "Fuck it, I'm doing it."
Yeah, I mean, those snippets he's been posting of their this or that.
Pick?
Yeah, that looks awesome. I've been voting on those every day. And they're like classic things he's picking. They're awesome.
So basically what you're seeing, that this or that, he didn't announce with a lot of fanfare or like with branding or anything, but this was an extension of the Citizen Pick initiative that I came up with him over when we were talking at Brick Fair. And the idea basically is doing the first ever community-driven Citizen Brick minifigure. So I created a Google survey, which then everybody and their mom could just fill out the form and put in all the things they desire to see Citizen Brick make as a minifigure. And some people had very long lists, and some people just had this one thing they really, really wanted. But anyways, so after a certain period of time, it was like 48 hours. I kept it very short so it wouldn't get too big. Still got to like 600 to 1,000, ideas that were put in. But there was some repetitive, repetition in there. But generally speaking, there's about at least 1,000 different fig ideas submitted. And I had I put it into a spreadsheet, nice and sorted, so you can see it. And then he sat on it for about 2 months, looking over it. He molded down to like the top 32 choices of figs that he wouldn't mind making, because there's some compromise here. He's not just gonna make something that he doesn't like.
Yeah,
so,
I don't blame him.
Yeah. So he goes through all the choices. He makes like a March Madness style bracket, and then that's when you've been seeing the stories lately is the this or that. And so you'll start seeing repeats as the winner of the next round will go, and eventually the winner will at some point in time down the road be made into a Citizen Brick minifigure.
That's awesome. That's really cool.
Brett, were you gutted to see John McClane made it to the second round?
I was really surprised. And a little disappointed, only because I have a John McClane from a different brand from LCM.
I gotta be honest, I voted for John McClane in the first round because I want a simple card fig.
What was he going against? Do you remember?
Not the first one. He's going against Wayne's World because I voted Wayne's World on the second one. But I can't remember what it was in the first. It wasn't Raising Arizona? Was that one of them?
Yes.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
And that would have been such a great print, that floral shirt.
Oh, yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah.
We need more Nicolas Cage minifigs. I want one from Mandy. I want one from Raising Arizona. I want one from Face Off.
They can skip Leaving Las Vegas, I guess. That one would be too dark.
He's already done enough alcoholic looking figs.
Yeah.
So, but unless he does one with Elizabeth Shue, that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, him on like a glass table or something.
Yeah. I really hope Kurt Russell from The Thing makes it to the finals.
I voted for that one too. That would be a great one.
But we've got what do you call it? Escape from New York, Kurt Russell, though, haven't we?
We do.
But it's not the same.
It's not. It's not the same.
And he'll come with a flamethrower and everything.
They'll do him right. Yeah, they'll do him.
Ripley's got a flamethrower. Ripley's got a flamethrower. You've got a flamethrower. Come on.
And then you could do a team up post of Ripley and Kurt Russell.
Yep. That would be great if they did him.
So they can have Kurt Russell fighting off, xenomorphs.
Who'd they have against the Matrix? There was another thing against the Matrix. No.
True Romance, I think.
Okay.
I think it was True Romance. I don't know. I just know. I think Matrix won. I'm just like, come on.
Yeah, I wanted the other one.
Yeah, I can tell. You can tell that there's a generational shift in these choices.
No, I think I voted Matrix there as well. Like I said to you earlier, I'm lowbrow. I'm not high art. I'm lowbrow. So maybe everyone's lowbrow.
But what's funny is I have the Neo and Trinity from LCM as well.
Yeah, I got those too.
I almost got that one. That one looked really cool.
A Morpheus would be cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Honestly, the cape on the LCM one flares out a little bit too much for my taste. But it would be nice to have a straight trench coat. That would be a good fig barf piece.
Mm-hmm.
But let's get back to KO Customs. Let's go back to KO Customs. Okay, so you referred to it loosely, but you did take a bit of a hiatus,
Yep.
And then you before you came back strong with was it? I think Nightcrawler was your first fig coming back.
Oh, it was Iceman.
It was Iceman. Oh, sorry. It was right.
Then Nightcrawler was, I think.
Yeah.
See the script, Brett. Come on, do your homework.
Oh yeah, Phil wrote this actually. But what prompted the hiatus? Was it just burnout, life events?
Yeah, it was more just like life. Like I made Taskmaster as I was graduating from college, and then I was just like moving out of the house and finding a real job and life hitting me. So it was a couple of years of doing that, and then I worked for a toy company in between actually. So that was fun. So I really didn't have the creative drive when I got home at the end of the day, and they had their own knockoff Lego line. So I really didn't have the creative drive to make more custom Lego in my free time when it was like my job during the day.
Dipping the pen in the company ink would have been a bit as well, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I wasn't sure how they'd feel about that too. Yeah, because it was kind of like I showed them
property if you make it on your off time.
I showed them all that stuff in my portfolio when I got hired. I think that's what got me the job. but like, you know, like you said, company ink. So after I left there and I got a different job and moved and stuff again, then like the time was right, because actually it was during the pandemic. The pandemic gave me a nice break, so to speak, for like some time to like.
Yeah, I was gonna say, a lot of people view the pandemic as a nice break.
Yeah. I had just started.
All my fans died.
Yeah, no, I definitely don't want to make it sound like bad like that. But like, I had just started a new job, and like the day I'd started it was when everyone got sent home for an indeterminate amount of time. So I was in this job, and they had no work to give me. So it was like still getting a check and like on like vacation. It was crazy. But
put me in mind about Wolf of Wall Street. He goes his first day in Wall Street, and the stock market crashed.
It was exactly like that. I get there and they're like, "Oh, this will be done before Easter," and like, you know, like no, it wasn't. So
1 year later.
Mm-hmm. So like I had a lot of time on my hands, and I was like, "Why don't I should get back to doing my minifigs? You know, that was a lot of fun. I should do that again." So then I started looking at doing. I had some stuff in the works a little bit, but I wasn't like taking it like I was gonna do it anytime soon. And that's when I found some translucent bodies to make the original Iceman that I made. That's what started me back in the whole thing. I kind of dipped my toes back into it with one figure and then got geared up again and started making multiple a year.
Did you keep an eye on the custom scene while you're on your hiatus?
Yeah, I always was
completely cut off.
No, I always was collecting the whole time. And that was the other thing too, is that it changed so much in like that. I think it was like only like less than 2 years, like a year and a half. It changed from like all these different brands hit the scene, and like the pre-order thing became the standard and all this other stuff. But I always was collecting the whole time. I missed out on a few, and I'd be like, "Oh, I'm not going to buy that one," like because I'm trying to cut back on this, and then I'd end up spending like $300 on it 6 months later when it wasn't available anymore, and I had to have it. So you guys know it's a tough addiction, to break.
Any other brands are listening, Kyle needs to be added to the hot phone line now. So
please do.
So when you came back on the scene, you said, "Hey, we're coming back. This is going to be our first fig." Obviously, a lot of the folks that knew you from the Flickr days were probably excited to see you coming back. How was the reception from the newer collectors?
I think it was pretty good. That Iceman was a really big success, and I think I definitely had a lot of newer collectors because I kind of like I don't spend a lot of time analyzing all the order names I get like on the thing, but after a while you get the same people, and I definitely had a lot of new ones when that came around. So I was very happy about that, and also with there being more resellers, I did business with some new stores, so it definitely was probably a new market somewhere. And like also I never sent any figures to like reviewers or anything like that, but this time around that had cropped up as a thing now. So to try and like spread some word, I sent a couple out to like minifigure Merc. Yep, there was another reviewer too back then. I do it sometimes like when I have an extra one or something, but lately, like Good Problems, they've sold really well. I haven't even had any extra to like give away for that purpose. So
cool.
Yeah, thanks.
Well, no, because it seems like you've had pretty good momentum, and you've gone from. I mean, you may have been really well known back then, but
yeah, it was like a
reestablish yourself.
Yep,
in a flooded market.
Yeah,
that's pretty impressive.
It was definitely like a rebuild feeling, like when I was doing it, kind of, but it worked.
Yeah,
though, so
that Nightcrawler was a hot item. Well, it still is a hot item.
Oh, thanks.
And for those who don't know, when he released his Nightcrawler version 2. He created this cool accessory that was like, the Banff cloud that was just really unique. And it wasn't anything like original. Like they were all Lego parts or whatever.
Yeah.
But that it was basically a cloud mock.
Right.
And,
But
it made sense. And it was really good.
It looked just like the actual Banff sort of graphic in the comic. So it was. Perfect representation in Lego form. And it was really good.
Thanks, guys. I've been trying to do stuff like that as I move forward, like to add things to my releases, like with the Iceman too, with the sled thing, like the ice trail.
That is insane. I love it.
Thank you.
That was overkill, though. I mean, if you look at my loot pick of that, there's this tiny little minifig in this huge case full of just
I know, it's like so many pieces.
I think you're going to set yourself up for a fail, Cal, because when you release your next fig now and it's only a fig,
I know, right?
Like,
where's all the parts?
Tiny,
So like with that one actually too, I did it where, because with that one, like full disclosure, the Iceman one, those are some pieces that are like third party
Knockoff.
knockoff ones, and like I didn't want people to feel like they were
let's
getting.
clarify the ice slide pieces.
Yes, thank you.
The good thing is though, you can knock off. You could say they're KO pieces and get away with it.
KO stands for knockoff.
Not to get away from the question, but that was like a big thing. Like right after I named it that, and I was making some stuff, the like Eurobricks like forum had like the KO like thread, like the knock. I'm like, I just named my business like after the worst thing I could have picked. But like maybe if some people ever thought of it, they're like, oh, that guy's ironic or something. I don't know, but it's worked, I guess. But I was like,
we always have referred to them as KO brands when we talk about them.
Yeah. So not great, but. Yeah, so for that one, I didn't want people to feel cheated or anything out of what they were buying for the price that it was. So that whole like ice trail accessory, all those parts are almost like not even factored into it. Like they're basically like a free accessory in there. Because
that was a very reasonable price.
Thanks. Yeah, I always try to keep it like normal. Like I don't want to keep my figures like high price because I'm a collector and like I know like things are creeping. That's inflation. That's life and stuff. But like. I know what it costs to make it, and I can price it in a way where everyone's happy. So I'll do that as long as I can. But I try to do these like builds and stuff now with my figures where it's like, a little extra thing. And if like, sometimes I think the custom ones, like custom brands, go a little overboard with some of their accessories that are like molded or something. Like they're very, very cool. And like, I know certain type of clientele appreciates that kind of thing. But at the end of the day, I'm like always thinking like, well, how can I integrate that into like my scene or like my, a collection mock type thing, and it would just look out of place. So I try to do it more like true to a Lego build type thing. Like if I can do it, like with like the ice sled or with the Banff like cloud thing.
It's a challenge as a collector. When you start getting all these accessories, you want to display like the best version of that fig in the coolest pose.
Yeah.
Or some of us have cases where things just sit, side by side as like a museum piece.
Yeah.
I'm in the latter category, so a lot of those accessories don't come out of the case.
Yeah. He's always saying how most of his stuff just gets left in a case because it's like a hot toy.
Oh yeah, no, I definitely.
Yeah, so I'll break it out. I'll break it out when I do the photography of it.
Mm-hmm.
But then I'll go right back in.
No, I don't blame you. I have like the same problem with a lot of my stuff. Like if I didn't have like the X-Men, like I'm building like my own Lego city, like with all the modulars and stuff, and like now I got to get that Avengers tower that just coming out.
Yes.
So like I want to have a nice, cool scene where the X-Men are fighting the Sentinel in the middle of the city with some destroyed buildings and all that stuff. So like I'll use my ice sled for that, but like the one I keep in my, if I didn't have that, I just have like a board. Actually, you can see it behind me a little bit, like those. Yeah. So like I have like a boards of figures, and they really don't get a lot of room for other stuff. So I totally understand.
I was going to say, when you returned with Frosty, how did it feel to return? Because you were welcomed back with a lot of enthusiasm for that fig by old fans and new. So how did it feel to actually sort of come back and get that warm reception straight away?
It was really, really nice. It was very flattering. It meant a lot to me too that people still remembered and like actively liked my stuff that much. To be like, I remember I told my girlfriend when I was showing her the comments like of me announcing that I was coming back with the figure, somebody wrote KO is back, baby. And like it's always been a joke now among me and her, like in a good way. We're not like making fun of the person that wrote it, but like it's always been like a nice like thing. Like it's like wow, like it's pretty impressive. Like I'm very humbled by all of it.
I can't say. I think I was probably simping in the comments as well, to be honest.
Yeah. Yes. No, it's very cool. I appreciate all of it.
With the expanded, I don't want to call it competition, but the expanded landscape of the amount of brands coming up, do you feel that you need to like alter how you're doing your business, like increasing your production or altering your character choices?
A little bit. Like I definitely feel I definitely always try and like remind myself that like, there's different aesthetics out there for different people, and like the figures I make will appeal to like a certain crowd, and like if another brand makes the same character, same figure, they're going to do it differently, and that might appeal to the same person, or there's an overlap or a whole different audience. So I try to not stress myself out with that aspect of it, that hopefully it will still sell, or eventually it will still sell. And one thing that's nice is like Ed will help me with like a post like to announce it or something, and I'll like do the same, and the amount of likes I get, it's like a lot usually. Like I really appreciate that. But I'm like, okay, as long as 100 people from all these likes like actually buy it, I'm good. You know? But like, it definitely makes me think I need to get things out a little quicker, just because like, mostly because like I like how like I try to make like clever design choices, I think, and I just like to like unveil it and have it be like very impactful. And I kind of feel like sometimes when another brand comes along with the same figure, if they did this really similar thing, it's kind of like loses its punch a little bit. Just excitement for
Yeah,
me.
they got to appreciate it as much, even if it is innovative. Yeah, I get you.
Yeah, but that's like just like a personal like thing for like, you know, kind of like, look what I made, like, you know, showing it off.
It's an ego stroking thing, is what you're
a little
saying,
bit, yeah. But like at the end of the day, like, you know, I'm still just happy that people are into it. Like, to be honest with you, I say if it sells and people like it, so yeah.
Well, one thing that can, you know, increase your production is working with partners that also have their own facilities. And, you know, recently you teamed up with Diamond Customs and released Omega Red. How exactly did that come to pass? I mean, I know they've done a lot of mutants in recent history, and I don't know if that would influence your decision or.
Oh yeah, so
you know, how's that benefited you?
It's been great. Diamond Custom Bricks is awesome. He's a huge help. Me and him like throw the design back and forth. We make edits to it. He'll give me some notes on it. We'll like plan out the accessories and stuff. He's really good with the injection molding stuff. His half of it is mostly like the bringing the CAD design and stuff, the 3D design to it. And I'll always like look at it and like give my 2 cents and like, you know, edit it and stuff. But that's really what he's bringing to the table for all of it. And his facilities are amazing. So when I have something printed with him, it usually always comes out like really good. Like there's not a lot of edits I have to tell them, or they don't make a mistake, and they're pretty quick. It started actually because I was trying to make. He helped me with Nightcrawler. I was trying to make a wraparound white printing on the arms, and where I was having it printed at the time they said they couldn't do that. It was too complex, so I was asking him because he had done it on a figure, and I was looking at the figure and I just hit him up. I was like, hey, like, do you know anybody that could do this? And he's like, yeah, my factory can do it. We can help you with that. And I was like, oh, cool. And that's kind of how our collaboration started, because we're like, oh, we should do a figure together. We both make X-Men stuff. You know, he makes a lot. He made a large amount of it.
Was he aware of you before this? Was he like a fan or?
Yeah. Actually, well, I know he said that the guy that does his production was a fan of mine. He had all my figures. I was like, that's pretty cool. So like, it was like one of those things where I think he
pretty
was
surreal.
Yeah, like you know, one funny thing, like on that note, right? I had a funny story that I wanted to share on this podcast. You guys have been to like a flea market or something, or like some side vendor where they're selling like knockoff Lego on a table, right?
Yep.
So I was there at a flea market at that exact thing, and I had like a moment almost like the kid in like A Christmas Story, like that's like, I want to meet Santa, like that like thing. Like because I went up like with my girlfriend, and we're looking, and there's like a whole row of my Wolverine, like the straight up copy of my Wolverine. And I'm like, I made that. And the guy's like, oh, okay. I'm like, what does that mean? Like, you know, like, so yeah, that's always a really interesting thing too, when you see your stuff out in the wild. Like,
it's got to be a bit like Adam said he felt when he got recognized in the Lego store. You know,
it's
got to be a really cool feeling, hasn't it? You know?
Yeah, exactly. I wish such a cool story that he had about how that guy.
That's great. You've had that resource now, and yeah, they've been a big producer of mutant figs. Actually, just a few months ago, I finally pulled the trigger and got their Madeline Pryor Goblin Queen.
Oh, okay,
fig.
Nice, very nice.
I love that thing.
Yeah, they do amazing work, and I'm lucky to be teamed up with them on this stuff. It's always exciting to work with them. So,
Phil, we got something big we got to talk about.
Yeah, we need to talk about the Sentinel in the room.
Oh, that was good. Something big. Yes.
You made an awesome custom Lego set of the Sentinel, complete with printed parts.
Oh, yeah. Thank you for saying.
Looking back at the Flickr page, I can see the seed of this went as far back as 2014, right in the early days. Now,
yeah.
Back then, I admit I was all about the minifig, so I wasn't paying much attention to anything that wasn't specifically in that format. But looking back, I can see that you did plan to go for a set, and from what I can gather, it was going to have some digitally printed parts at the time, and you had a light kit set up for the eyes.
Yep.
I did note this on one of the posts when someone asked about it. You'd gone from a set, and there's a nice little crossover with our Goodfella episode coming up as well about this as well. But you'd gone from it being a set to thinking about printing some instructions and a part list instead, and then maybe offering just a light kit. So did you actually do that at the time, or did this not come to fruition back then? And this is something you've revisited, or
Yeah. So the idea of doing like a limited kit with just like the list so someone could like a DIY thing, that never actually ended up happening. I was too focused on all the figures at the time and like life and stuff.
yeah,
But I had one person, I feel bad. They would message me left and right about it, and like they'd be like, "This is never gonna happen." And I'm like, "No, it's gonna happen." Yeah. So hey, it took like 5-6 years, but no, like after the thing that really sparked it was working at that toy company, and I did packaging design every day, like 2 or 3 packages every day for like this toy company. So I knew exactly what went into making it and what went into doing it. So it was like good training. And then, amidst the pandemic, when I wasn't doing Frosty, I was sitting there trying to update this with all the new parts and like really going into it though. Like my room here looked like a whole like lab of like like I'd buy parts on Bricklink to test them out, or I'd do like Bricklink Studio to like test things out too. And then I'm like, all right, that seems to be working. Let me order the real part and see if it's going to structurally hold up or like how it's going to work and stuff. So that was like I spent like the whole since probably May of 2020 until like November or December of 2020, just like many days a week working on that, getting the design right. And then I spent about another 2 months taking it apart and mapping it out for an instruction booklet. So that was a lot of work too. And I really just wanted to make my own Lego set. I was really obsessed with doing it for like a long, long time. And then I worked in like the light brick, so it didn't have to be like a third party kit for the lights. And I had the mouth tile pad printed. I wish there had been a magenta dish piece around at the time. There still isn't, but I had them like airbrushed and they're really good quality. They would never like chip or
yeah, you
anything.
did say that on the actual post at the time. Yeah, I
Oh
forgot
yeah,
to mention that. But, so this was basically then a case of you just couldn't get this thing out of your head, and this was just the right time. You'd built up, you'd upskilled, and yeah.
yeah. Like, and I was inspired by the Lego one years ago, but I was like, it has to be so much bigger than this. This is like tiny. And I always wanted to make it in a way where people could like customize it if they wanted to, or if they wanted to have a destroyed one, like they could take some parts out of the head or like make a blown off arm, like stuff like that if they ever did a scene. One shout out, one customer has bought, I think, at least 4, maybe 5 of them from me since it's been for sale. So I can't wait to see what's cooking with that. Like eventually at some brick
gonna
fair.
make master mold. Gonna make master mold out of it.
That would be really cool.
So just to clarify, any plans for other sets? Has this sort of whet your appetite for more, or was this just a one-off thing you wanted to make sure you did at least once in your life, sort of?
Yeah, I mean, definitely for right now, I think I'm gonna not do any more sets. Like even doing the amount of pieces that came with the Frosty 2.0 kind of gives me like flashbacks to like doing it, because like the Sentinel is 900 pieces, and I have to sit there and sort out. It's not only like 900 pieces sorted out, but they're sorted into 5 bagged up building steps. It's a lot of work to do one. I usually do them in like batches because I still have a few left. Like the big wave of them came when I released it, and that was like traumatic because that was like I had my whole family down here. It was like I was running a sweatshop. My family still jokes about it now because like even my mom came down to help, and she was like, oh, can we put the TV on? And I'm like, no one can watch any TV while we're doing this. I'm like, this has to be
are there any minors that are
yeah,
doing this? Is
yeah, right?
labor going on here,
But yeah, it was definitely funny. We all still like look back on it. It's funny now, but like at the time it was like, oh my god, like how are we gonna pack all these up? But because I also had to sell them first to be able to buy all the parts, so it wasn't even like I could. And then one lady, like a Bricklink seller, I don't know if she was like a drop shipper type person from Connecticut, and I'm in New York. Probably the easiest one of all the orders. I ordered a ton of parts from her, and it dragged on for like 2 months. She wouldn't send them to me, and I'm like, this can't be happening. I can't send any of these things out.
My gosh.
People are like wondering where their stuff is, and I'm like, this order, like I'm having to explain this. That was not cool. But since then, nothing like that's ever happened again. So now I do. If someone orders one, I'll bag up like 5 or 6 at a time to make it like worth it and do like a run. And then some lucky people, they put the order in, it ships like the next day. Other people, it has to wait like a couple weeks if it's that timing. But
Well,
yeah.
I'm actually ashamed to admit I haven't bought it yet. Like I keep meaning to get around to it. It's just that, like I said,
Oh
I'm
no,
always
that's
focused
okay.
on figures. You know.
Oh, they're on sale right
I've got
now.
all
Yeah.
the figs, so I gotta get it.
Oh yeah, no, it looks really cool. All the figures, like I always have mine on display, like holding Nightcrawler, like he's teleporting out of there. I'm sure Lego will come around to that one day, but
Well, I think they got the rumor is the X Mansion's coming, right?
yeah, I mean, hey guys, X-Men looks pretty good when the Sentinels are attacking it. So just saying, Christmas is coming.
shameless plug achieved.
Yeah,
Here's your Xbox achievement unlocked. You know. So yeah, I mentioned there was a little crossover here with our good fella minifigs episode. So when you were originally looking at this, you had a box art design set up, and that box art design was done by none other than Brickherographics.
Oh yeah, Mike.
So
Yeah,
obviously
he's
we
awesome.
mentioned him in the good fella episode. So we first have to just give a disclaimer and say we swear he's not sponsoring the Big Bad Fit Cast. He's just come up purely by chance two episodes. You know,
he wasn't even aware of the podcast, and I reached out to him saying, "Hey, I'm tagging you in this post because we talk about you quite a bit."
Oh
And
yeah,
now he's like going through and listening to them
That's
all.
awesome.
He's really enjoying it, and he was really happy to hear that he was going to get a shout out, and so
I hit him up
hopefully that helps.
yesterday because I was listening to it. I was like, "Hey, Mike, like they're talking about you on here, and it's great." I told him like the time, like in there. Yeah, he's a great guy.
Did you hit him up to do that design, or was it a design he'd already done? Because obviously he's quite prolific with his designs anyway.
Oh, yeah.
He's always...
No, Mike and me go way back to Flickr. Like he has done all of my renders for every figure I've ever made.
Oh, that's a nice little nugget that we didn't know. Yeah,
he's my
cool,
go-to guy. Yeah, Mike is awesome.
So
he helps me out.
Even to this day, he's still your render guy. Yeah.
Yep. He just did Frosty
that
and
is
Omega
really
Red.
cool.
He's done every one of them. He's never not done one.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
He did. Obviously, he commented on his story and tagged me in it. After the episode, and I sent him a picture of those torsos for the Green Arrow fig that when showed up 3 months later to show him that I still had them. I was actually thinking we might even, if Brett's okay with you, might give them out. I might try and turn them into figures, and we'll give them out as a Big Bad Fig Cast giveaway or something, or a Geek Exchange giveaway.
The fans will know.
But he said that he's thought numerous times over the years to make figs, but at least it's nice to know that he is in the background there, helping you with with yours.
Me and him have talked about doing a figure together. I don't know. I don't want to say like who it would be because of surprise and whatnot. But like we've talked about doing a figure together. I just haven't had the timing right yet for it. I was kind of doing it now that we're like back in the swing of things. Like maybe that's something me and him will talk about again now. Because I've been hitting them up kind of last minute for the last few figures for the renders, so I feel bad. So I definitely have to like plan things a little differently. Like, hey, I know you're really busy, but if you have time, could you render these 2 figures in all these different poses and all this different stuff? Thank you. No, he's a great guy.
So we've also we mentioned earlier about how you've done a couple of version 2s now between Frosties and Nightcrawlers and whatnot, which understandably you want to perfect your craft and you want to. There's new technologies available to you, but as a completist, it might be a little frustrating because you're like, "Well, crap, I already got that one."
Yeah.
Are there any other things you plan on doing V2s of?
Right now, no. But if you had asked me that came out at the same time, that colored plastic for Iceman. But yeah, right now, no. I'm really content with how everything has come out so far. The big thing for me was like looking at the original Wolverine I did and then comparing it to like the Taskmaster, even at the end of my first, run. I just feel like that Taskmaster looks so much more like something Lego would make for line thicknesses and stuff like that. And those weren't things I was attuned to when I was designing Wolverine the first time. I just was trying to make it all fit with the stripes and stuff. And then I'm like, no, that's not how it would be. The belt has to be this thick. The outline of black has to be this thick. Like I learned to follow all the Lego rules. So Wolverine version 1 and Nightcrawler version 1 were definitely just like design aesthetic reasons. Mostly Wolverine. I'll say Wolverine was purely design aesthetic. Nightcrawler was new parts and like new elements to put in there. And then the Iceman, there wouldn't be a version 2 Iceman if that plastic hadn't come out. So, thank you. And the other thing too was like I had made that ice trail accessory while I was doing for my own mock because I wanted to have him like using his powers, and I'm like, this is like pretty. I think I'm onto something here with this. This is pretty cool.
Could think of it as a consolation prize as well for it being a version 2. Like, you've got to buy this fig again, but you get this now as well, you know?
Oh yeah, and I wanted to upgrade to give people that hairpiece from the version 1. That might have been kind of hard to understand, like all the stuff that you're getting when you bought that. But like, if someone was a completionist and had both, now you can put them side by side. They both can have hair. And it's not like one is vastly superior to the other. It's personal choice at that point.
I didn't even know that hairpiece was in there. My friend had to tell me because he said apparently my original plan was I wasn't going to get it, and it's nothing personal to you. It's just that I'm always about more characters, new characters, you know.
Oh no, I get it. Yeah.
Yeah, so he was going to send me his as a surprise, and then he said, "Oh, then I see you've got a loop post. You obviously you broke, you know, when you bought it." So I always do a close up shot of figs and I put it in my story for my highlights, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't gotten around to doing that yet because I've had no motivation recently. But yeah, I want to put them side by side and do a shot. Like I don't know if you remember, I did that shot with the Mr. J Human Torch next to your Iceman.
Yeah, that was awesome.
All lit up.
Yeah.
So I want to do it like that, but with the two ice, you know, version 1 and version 2 of Frosty to get you know the proper effect with the glistening. You know, yeah.
You did a Nightcrawler one too, right? Or was that you?
No, I don't think I did a Nightcrawler one. No.
Oh, okay.
No.
I think somebody did something.
I've got a post planned. Brett's heard this before, but I do an acoustic version of the X-Men theme song.
Oh, that's awesome.
And it sounds like acoustic on my guitar. So I still can't play it well enough to record it, but I'm practicing it. And when I do, eventually, I'm going to do a little picture montage. It's going to have all my X-Men figs, and it's going to feature a ton of yours because you've done so many of them. But yeah, it's going to be like funny scenes. And funny enough, you said about the Banff piece, that's going to be really useful because one of the bits in there is going to be Nightcrawler pranking Wolverine, like tapping him on the shoulder and bouncing away.
That's awesome. I can't wait to see that. That's the one thing too, is I always love seeing people like reposting it just because of like the creativity and stuff people put into like some of their photos. Like you guys have talked about that on here a lot with all the amazing photography. I'm gonna mess up his name, but you guys can help me. It's like Soon
Salt Chicken Breast.
Yes, he's done some amazing pictures. His Nightcrawler pictures are incredible that he did of Nightcrawler.
Yeah, he does all that with his phone.
Samsung, not just his phone, a Samsung Galaxy S10 as well, an old phone. Do you know what I mean?
But it's an old phone, and he has this cool clip-on macro attachment.
Oh wow!
Which I bought one when he showed me. And so that's how he gets all those close-up shots. But yeah, he's grown so much in the last year or so with his photography. It's been phenomenal to watch, and I really enjoy it. And he's in a group chat with me with other photographers, and sometimes he'll post. We'll get our figs around the same time, and then he'll post. And I'm like, well, shit, I can't.
Yeah, right. Like it's incredible the lighting and like.
So I've slowed down my postings.
Yours are great too, though. I really like your posts as well.
Well, thank you, but I've gotten away from doing more portraiture work because Mark's Bricks does an amazing job with his lighting, and Soonsalt does an amazing job with the way he does it. I'm like, I can't match that, or it will just look just like theirs.
Okay.
I need to do something different that I can. Well, I need to do something that only I can do, or only can do in the way I can do it. Okay. So that's why I've been focusing more on less posts, but more elaborate posts with like the great lighting and the photoshopping and all this other stuff.
Yeah, the one you just put out, the most recent one, I think was really good.
Doc Ock?
Yeah, because it had like did you show how you made it too, like in one video?
Yeah. That was
really cool.
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, because you had the different like pieces that were like on the ground where he's like coming down on them, right? Like with the
right. Yeah, I shot each tentacle separately.
Yeah, that was really cool.
Together. I had a motion blur to make it look cinematic. So I want to do more stuff like that.
Yeah, that was awesome.
But in terms of straight up, until I can think of a way to do portraits that are original to me, I'm gonna let Soonsalt and Marcus handle them all. they just do a great job.
They do a great job.
It's nice to see Brett insecure though, because like everything you guys do with the graphic design, the photoshopping, it's like sufficiently advanced technology. It's magic. Like, I always joke that with cameras, they're like horses. They know when someone's nervous of them, and a camera.
No, you're right. I mean, my like Lego. I wish that's the one weakness I have with my business stuff is my photography. It doesn't come out that great when I try to take photos of my Legos. Like the Iceman was hard to capture, like that opalescence like thing, but I don't know if that's just my fault or like in general. But
well, there's a wide berth of people you can ping if you have questions.
Oh yeah, I definitely
just
have to start. Yeah,
we'd be honored to lend a trick or two.
Like you
just
said
let us
before,
know.
you send out figs for promo reasons. But if you gave someone a fig for the purposes of doing really good promo shots for you,
Yeah, actually, me and I can't mess his name.
Soon
Yeah, me and him actually were just talking about doing that, but then the Omega, like the timing of it didn't work out this time. But next time I'll send him one sooner. So I want sooner, yeah. But
yeah, that's also something that I know CrossCheck does that a lot. And Abnormal's done it before. They'll send it out to just people they really like and that represent their brand well, and they'll do the professional shots, and that becomes part of the reveal announcement.
Right, yeah, that would definitely add to it a bit.
Will work for figs.
Yeah, right.
I'll put my my hat in the ring with this.
There you go. Yeah.
I'll be happy to do some photography for you.
Oh, that'd be awesome, man.
I can't do that, but I can offer a reach around. That's the best I got.
All right, we gotta shift gears
hang on
quick.
there,
We'll suck dick for figs, you know.
Rock bottom with the Lego.
I always refer to this scene as mainlining plastic anyway. So,
Yeah,
it's like rock bottom.
Yeah, you're not wrong. What other thing do you have? Like, no, this is the last time. I'm not gonna buy another one this month. This is the last
I
one.
know what the teaser is going to be for this episode.
Oh God.
Oh, my face hurts.
Look back at the end of my life, and I'm going to see this is when I lost all credibility.
I think we lost credibility. We started dropping thousands of dollars on plastic.
Yeah, good point. Yeah.
And you sell these for how much to people? Yeah.
You mentioned earlier we never get a chance to talk to people in our real life. They may be sympathetic to our hobby, but they don't understand it because it is a madness. I've always said it is a mental illness. I mean, like I always joke with Brett that his Spidey's is like a really bad mental illness, because he can't miss out on one. But for any of us,
I feel for you with that one.
It's almost as bad as grown adult women being completely obsessed with Disney, like having Powered by Fairy Dust stickers on their car. It's full mental illness.
We're in that category.
I think because we are just as bad.
Yep.
So it's nice to speak to people and actually speak. Because typing is not the same medium, is it? It's
oh
just
yeah,
not.
No, this is a whole different experience.
So, it is great to actually speak to like-minded people.
Mm-hmm. It really is cool because you never get to and you don't have to. I feel like sometimes when I try and explain things to other people I know in my regular life, I have to give so much context to have them understand why this is annoying or cool or whatever the situation may be. And it's I don't have to preface anything. You guys know as much or more about all these brands, all these figures, and all this stuff going on.
My wife just smiles and nods.
Yep, that's my girlfriend.
But she's happy I'm happy.
Yeah.
She understands why I might be upset.
When you're talking about it, why this bit is good, but that bit is good. There's just that glassy look in their eyes, that practiced smile on their face. Really what they're doing is planning the next week's meals or something.
My kid will come down to my office while if I get a loot box that day from tier 1 or something, and I'm unpacking everything, and then they'll say, "Hey, could you hook me up, and could you make me some of this for dinner or whatever?" I'm like, "Sure, but first you have to come and see everything that came in."
Yeah, yes.
and I make them come and look. I got this, and I got this, and I got that. And hey, look, it's Chainsaw Man. You like Chainsaw Man?
Yeah.
And this, and that.
Not having kids, I can't relate to this at all. But can you imagine your child comes down and says, "Grow up, Dad"?
Yeah, I would be.
No, my kids' friends all think I'm cool.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, they probably think
because they come in my office. I've got all these posters and memorabilia and props.
Like a toy
They
store.
think my office is cool.
I bet.
You've got the playroom they always wanted, basically.
Yeah.
And one day they're going to think about this.
I finally got the playroom I always wanted.
Yeah. They're going to think about this now for the rest of their life until they're old and be like, man, I got to get it like so-and-so's dad.
It's like, I can't wait till I'm 40 so that 14-year-olds can be impressed by me,
How you doing there, fellow young kids?
Yeah.
The hard part is when they're like, "Hey, can we get this?" I'm like, "No, because we're on a budget." But you just got this. I'm like, "That's right, with my money."
Yeah, that's gotta be tricky.
You want $30 $30 in Robux,
Yeah.
No braces for little Timmy this week. I had to buy an extra Spider-Man,
They've been for braces. We took care of that.
Yeah,
they got their braces done. They got a roof over there. They get their meals.
The essentials are met.
But
It keeps them alive and moderately clothed, so you can spend the rest of the money on the figs.
this Christmas will be 2 years since we bought an Oculus 2.
Oh.
And I've played it for maybe 30 minutes because it's been sitting in my oldest's room all this time. Because,
Oh, yeah, those
and
things
what do
are
they use
cool.
it for? VR chat and watching movies with his friends, with their friends. That's it. That's all they use it for.
My friend had it.
I want to play Super Hot, damn it.
Yeah, he showed it to me, and
I got that Vader game. I've yet to play
the Vader game looks amazing. I walked into a Christmas tree wearing that thing by accident.
I learned I had to move my couch to have enough room in the basement for it.
It was I think it's the same system. It's like the first level you can like touch those like pedestals of the ball on it, and like you walk around. So,
I never got past like the hull of you're inside the cabin of the ship.
Okay.
And they wanted me, and they're like, "Yeah, you have enough room." I'm like, "Well, my couch is there." I have to move my couch. So, but the point is,
are you just living lawnmower man in your head, though?
But yeah, so they're fine. They'll be good.
Yeah.
If not, that's what therapy's for.
As the collection grows. Yeah.
Well, they know I'll be quick to sell something if we need to for any reason.
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm always like
past.
turning over my. I gotta make a for sale post. So maybe I'll do some geek exchange on Sunday. I'll throw some out at your way.
Sure thing.
Yeah, because I gotta.
I did it for Phoenix Customs.
Oh, cool. Okay, yeah. Because I got 4 Sabretooths from Jin that I have right now. I meant to buy 2. I forgot that I pre-ordered it from 2 different people. At 2 apiece,
That's not a unique problem.
Yeah.
I don't think you're gonna have a problem selling those. They were in high demand, so you'll be.
Oh, were they? That's good to hear. I just wanted to break even.
I sold mine actually. I kept Ling's. I sold that one.
Okay, yeah.
Well, speaking of collecting, Phil.
Yep. Okay. So we've spoken to Kyle the brand. Now we want Kyle the man or the collector.
Hello.
So, something I've noticed about community members who become brands, and it has happened several times over the years, is that they don't tend to show off their own collections from the point they start releasing their own figs. Adam seems to be the only exception to this because he'll regularly post stories of the other figs from other brands he's bought. But obviously, like with yourself, with MRM Prints, Jacka, obviously until we saw that picture on the Jacka interview episode, we didn't even know that Jack was a collector, and
right.
And you sort of become an enigma. And I wonder if that is by design. Is it because of competition, for example, or do you not want to necessarily show support to one brand and not to another and cause animosity? Is there any particular reason behind that? Or
for me, I used to, when I was like on the Flickr, I would like post from my collection, and I think I just kind of like, it's a mixture of like not having enough time or the photo not coming out like nice enough. But sometimes though, when I would post on Flickr, maybe even on Instagram, I'm trying to remember, but like people would get confused almost and think that I made the figure, like even though I write that it's made by such and such and all this stuff, like
people don't read.
Yeah, that's the thing. And like, I think that is one turnoff maybe to why people don't do it. And like, the other thing is like, it maybe just timing too, but like, I definitely want to post for my own collection. I'm working on this really cool display board. A friend of mine that I work with is helping me like wire and like solder all these things together to have each brick light up to show like the figure beneath it. But just like,
oh, wow.
like a really cool like case. We're trying to get it like plexiglass type thing. So I think once I have that, I will start to share a little more of my collection, maybe just like some reels of like them on the thing. Nothing crazy.
Well, maybe if your photos are not professional looking, they look like someone's just taking a picture in their room of their figures.
Hopefully that.
I think people would be less inclined to be confused. And as a pain in the ass as it might be, you could always just start a second account that's focused on.
That's true. Yeah, definitely. Like
your collecting side. You could have maybe like the KO custom storefront account, which you have now. And then you can just have the Kyle account that maybe just shows behind the scenes of KO.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Things
That's
going on, things So you can have your B-roll account, and then you've got your product page.
Right. I was gonna say, even when I post stuff like from my collection, like for sale, just to like like we were just saying, like just to turn over, weed through your collection a little bit. I do feel bad sometimes when some of the brands, if they see it, like me selling something, but it's never like because I didn't like it or anything like that. It's just like you can only fit so many figures on your wall, or like you got to make room somewhere, kind of thing. Like there's a lot of reasons.
Things change as well, so
Yeah.
I used to feel bad as well when selling a figure. I would like not sell it on Instagram because I didn't want them to see that I was selling their figure.
Yeah, I've seen.
Even admitting that I bought both those gambits. I remember I told you, I was like, I bought
Oh
both
yeah,
the gambits,
yeah,
and then they were gone in like a week after they arrived.
yeah.
And I was like,
That's like
I feel bad.
I'm not like hurt by that at all. You know what I mean? Like it's all good for me. Like I appreciate that you bought them and everything, and sounds like you gave them to a good home of somebody that really was like.
Oh yeah, they
get
were
them.
ecstatic.
So you made somebody's day with that. But yeah, just turning over figures. But like, what I was gonna say, when I post stuff, even like for sale, like, oh, I'm selling these. Like, sometimes people will be like, oh, like they'll message me and not read it. I don't really like that aspect of it.
It probably sounds silly, but in my mentality, it's like you wouldn't know that you still collect, if you get what I mean, from based on looking at your page. And I think knowing you collect almost humanizes a brand to a certain degree. Do you know what I mean? It's sort of you're a man, not the myth. There.
Right? Yeah.
But sometimes that could go against you as well. Do you know what I mean? But like obviously Adam debunked this recently, but up until recently, I thought you guys were all probably in this sort of super secret club. You shared your collections with each other, all the brands, no one else. You know, like no one else can see this, but we've all got all these figs. You know.
That'd be cool if that actually that's yeah. Me and Adam are friends. We talk sometimes, but
yeah, well, that's something that we've learned that that arrangement doesn't really exist, and hopefully things like this podcast help break those walls down, not just between the brands and the collectors, but the brands between the brands themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, we've got a community of collectors. Why not have a community of brands that can talk to each other? And yes, there is a bit of a competition, but some of you guys have your niches that you fall into.
And like we do different styles, like with the trench coat thing or something. Like not to like keep talking about that one thing, but like you know what you're going to get from me, and I know what I'm going to get from another brand. So it's about which avenue you pick of how you want the figure represented.
And ultimately, the collectors buy from the brands they prefer.
Mm-hmm.
And from the resellers they have relationships with.
Yeah.
There is a subset of collectors that will go after the next shiny new thing.
Mm-hmm.
Not to put a pun on this. but the
some of us are just whores who whatever wiggles their tail at us at the time that we like the look of. We're free to anyone.
Yeah.
There's that as well.
Yeah, well, that's why I employ Phil's advice from like I think it was episode 2, which was talking about FOMO,
mm-hmm.
where
that was a good one.
It's my favorite, and I want to revisit it.
The burnout and the FOMO are like that's key. Like I get it now too. I got a figure in the mail the other day. It's still sitting on my coffee table. It's out of the mailer. I haven't even opened it yet, and it's just like, you know what I mean? Like you just kind of lose your thrill.
But Phil has said, when a new figs arrives and you're like about to hit that buy or hit that reserve button or whatever,
mm-hmm.
I mean, ask yourself, were you waiting for this to come out, or was there anything really distinctly wrong with the figure that you had that you always wish you could replace it? If not, then maybe just don't
do it. Yeah,
just stick with what you got.
Because the duplicates are tough, and I am sorry about the people that bought the 2 duplicates of mine.
But
yeah,
it's easy to convince yourself that you need something.
Yeah.
In fairness to you, Kyle, there are significant differences with your version 2s. I mean, I'll be the first to admit that it does trigger me seeing version 2s, and you've seen my comments about it before, and because you commented on my KO post saying, this is the last one, I swear. But the point is, I still buy them because they are still worthwhile. Do you know what I mean? So, and I'm sure that's what most people feel, so don't feel bad about it. If at the end of the day, you do this mostly for yourself, and we are just crowdfunding you to get your figure you want, I totally respect that. I said I was jaded about it, but I'm joking. It's a fact of life. So, at the end of the day, you do you, basically,
Well, I appreciate the understanding and everything. The tough ones are those big, like when there's like a new movie, like the Spider, like you guys have talked about it a lot with the Spider-Man.
Oh gosh,
like
Spider-Verse,
that one, or even like No Way Home, like all the Green Goblins. Let's put Spider-Man, like all the Green Goblin figures. I was stuck in that because I was trying to get the coolest Green Goblin. He's a big favorite of mine, and
that took a lot of comparisons.
Yeah, I still flip flop. I ended up actually a couple weeks ago. I bought the original 2002 set of the small one that came with the Green Goblin, and I opened it. It was like sealed in the box. I opened it and took him out, and like that's the one I'm going to keep on my display. Out of all that, like the goofy helmet.
So yeah, for me, I lean more towards that line of the customized side.
Right. Yeah. They're really nice. I still have them in my collection. I still flip. Like I'm still. I don't know which one to pick today. Like depends on the but.
Right, and I've got one last point on this last topic now. We've discussed how the change in the scene over the years has affected you as a brand, but what's your take on it as a collector? Because obviously the scene has exploded, hasn't it, between the Flickr days and now? So how do you feel about that? You know,
Well, I definitely like having way more like options for stuff, like availability of like things. Like, we're talking about, there's probably like 3 or 4 brands that are gonna come out with the same figure when the movie drops or whatever, and you can kind of pinpoint which one you want. It is hard at the same time, because then if you guesstimate, like, people usually hit it pretty close to what you think after a track record, but sometimes they have an off figure, like, I don't know if I like that, like, figure, the face or something. But the price creep hasn't been great as a collector. That's kind of always been,
I agree with that.
but definitely, like, I kind of feel like I'm hitting my point of where I think I have most of my collection already now. Like, I'm trying to like back off buying a little bit at the moment, just because, like I said, I have this overflow, and then at the same time, it's like, I try to stick to just more like, I buy comic stuff and I buy MCU stuff. But if I'm buying like MCU stuff, I try to stick it more toward like heroes and villains I really like from the movies. I try to keep it to like the main people, just because I don't have the room. I think that all the new injection molded pieces have been really cool, and there's definitely like more brands that like cater toward like, oh, there's like, like 100 pad prints on this one, and like, that's not really my style, so I stay away from that. But just like the ones that find a nice balance, like, I think Adam has always been very consistent with that. He's kept it really good. I'm not like a plastic cape fan. That's my only like controversial point, I guess.
Them's fighting words.
Yeah, right.
So I'm with Kyle here, Brett. It's 2 against 1. Mate.
Yeah. Oh, you're a plastic cape guy, Brett? You're for it?
Yeah, I mean, as I lean towards, like, remember, like, I was telling someone the other day, like when Lego started getting really big, like with the Star Wars franchise, like in '99.
Yeah.
I was a junior in college.
Okay.
So my building blocks when I was a kid was like Lincoln Logs.
Right.
It wasn't really Lego.
Yeah.
So I mean, I was doing more 80s toys like He-Man, Transformers. You mentioned Starcom earlier.
Yeah, Starcom.
Centurions.
Yeah. Yep.
Centaur. What was it? Sectors.
I know,
but all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So that being said, so I really didn't get into Lego until my Lego hard until my later years, and I kind of started with customs.
Okay.
So I don't consider them Legos, which is more like cool boutique statuettes.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it too. Yeah.
So if I see like this figure that's got all these details and these molded accessories, and then a flimsy cloth cape.
Yeah, I guess I could see that.
It kind of feels cheap. You know?
And some of them do amazing work with the printing on the capes. Like, I like that. It's just, my thing is like,
it's like wearing an Armani suit and then someone puts a slap bracelet on. It doesn't look right.
Like, for me, it's just like, when, like, let's say Lego does an amazing job, like knocks it out of the park with some of their CMF stuff, right?
Yes.
It's kind of crazy. Like, I like it to be like a balance between like where I can still enjoy that happening and not think like, oh, well, I still have a better custom than that guy in my collection, kind of thing. Like, I like to be excited for the official stuff still, but they definitely don't do that very often. So the capes,
the only CMF side grab were Wolfman.
Yep, he was good.
And Echo.
Okay.
And that's why, because I don't have customs of them.
Okay, yeah.
that is a whole type of collector, isn't it? Though somebody who wants figs that just fit into their actual official Lego collection.
That definitely is their whole thing.
So it's totally reasonable.
I have no ill will or negative thoughts on that at all.
Yeah, just because like, if it blends for me, I can still like because there's stuff I have in my collection that isn't accurate necessarily to the MCU or something, or like, hey, here's a better version, not MCU. Jango Fett, right? I have a Jango Fett, but I love the old like bucket helmet from the 90s, like, that old school one. I bought the cold-blooded Jaka one, and I put the bucket helmet on him on myself. So like stuff like that, just like Lego
downgraded your fig then.
Yeah, right. Just like Lego stuff from like Lego past, like kind of like nostalgia or something, like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So.
I like, it would be a good challenge, and this just came up in my head since you're into the X-Men right now. Mm-hmm. You've got this niche. It's only like maybe you and Ling that are really doing these classic Lego-esque mutant figures. At some point, the 90s cartoon's coming back.
Yeah.
And it's going to get popular again.
Yep.
Do you have any fear about what the other brands if they're going to dive into this or not?
Well, there was one other brand who posted like a huge teaser of all the different X-Men villains. I think you guys probably know
Yes. Well, we can say it was Mr. J.
Yeah.
His are really good though, so I'm probably gonna end up buying.
But they're also comic-y.
Yeah.
They're also.
He has that.
cartoon,
He's kind of
yeah.
on that line as well. I would think, like for the most part,
Yeah.
like some stuff is like different, but I'm also not like crazy about it, or not like I'm not crazy about it, but like also like not insane, I guess, about it, because like I like the Jin like claw hands. I have those on my figures, but that's nothing Lego would never do. But like I have my own little like exceptions and stuff. But yeah, I guess I'm a little like concerned with that, just because it's like I don't know, just bandwagon.
Would you buy like a Mr. J fig and like put on Lego hair because he does very elaborate?
Yeah, I did
hairstyles?
that. I did that.
It's funny. I have the Lab 9's Black Cat figure, and I've always loved that figure.
Yeah, I'm trying to. I think I remember that one. I think.
And but Mr. J is releasing a Black Cat.
I've seen that picture. That one looks really cool.
It's good. It's got additional accents on the boots, the fur on the boots, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I'm like, it's just a tiny bit more fleshed out design wise.
Right.
So I'm probably gonna wind up selling my Lab 9 Black Cat.
Yeah, I mean, upgrading is totally. I get that. Like I mean, because that's what I'm. When I do my figures, like from the business stuff, is always just like if Lego did it, but if they did it like with an unlimited budget, like to the nines, like kind of thing. That's how I look at it. Like that's how I try to do.
Yeah.
With maybe like a little like the one with me and Diamond have been doing are a little more out there than what Lego would probably make, like the Gambit accessories and stuff for the some of them. But like generally, that's the type of thing I follow is like that, and I try to do that with my collections too. Like if there's a really good version of Lego, or to combine it with another custom or something.
Because it'd be really cool to see if any brand could come up and just hear me out. If any brand come out with a custom that still can stick with Lego of Mojo.
Oh yeah, that would be cool. That'd be really cool. Yeah.
I mean, anyone could do Long Shot, and Dazzler, or whatever, but Mojo,
yeah, he was like
that would be a cool challenge.
That would be cool. It'd probably be like I would look at MODOK for a lot of the inspiration.
I was going to say the same thing. Yeah,
Jabba the Hutt a little bit too, or something, like without getting too molded, like just to see. It would be cool, definitely cool.
Well, because you'd also have to have that chair.
Yeah, the chair. I think you maybe could do some brick
Ironically,
building.
guys, your best bet there might be Diamond.
Yeah,
because look, they've done Lockjaw, they've done the Wakanda Throne.
Yeah,
so
he would.
It's right in the
he would probably be great for doing like the like organic part of the body, and then if you could somehow tie that in with like some brick.
And whatever hands you do for Mojo, you can just do like a flesh tone and make it Lady Deathstrike.
Yeah, she's on my list to do for sure. Lady Deathstrike. I always liked that character, like the Wolverine.
I'd be interested in seeing how that gets pulled off into a Lego figure that has a Lego aesthetic.
Yeah, the hands,
because suddenly she's got fingers.
Yeah, the hands would have to definitely be breaking my ground a little bit, like on that one. But,
yeah, you know that picture out there of that nightmarish organic minifigure. Have you seen it?
Oh,
it's like a humanized minifigure.
Oh, I have. Yes,
it would look like
I have seen that. Yeah, the Halloween, like the prosthetics where it's like flesh colored.
Yeah. That lives in my head rent free. That would be the Deathstrike in figure form if you tried to tackle the hands. Obviously, that'd be too much. That would keep me up at night. That one.
Oh God.
I feel so basic to you guys, to be honest with you, because I buy a fig and the fig is the fig. But like there are some people in our group chat that will buy a fig just for one part to put it on another version of the custom, and they'll barf.
I've done it once or twice.
Bet's guilty of this on occasion as well, even,
Yeah.
But all of you, you're topping and changing, you're swapping things in and out. So I feel really basic in comparison.
No, I can't do that because I'll forget which part belongs to which fig.
Yeah, this has happened to me for sure. I have to go back and try and find the reference photo if I'm ever thinking about selling it, and then like track down where it might be lurking or something. So it's like I only do it for the ones I really I'm almost sure I'm never going to sell, like to keep for my collection. Like the X-Men ones, usually I do. Those are keepers.
So you mentioned Lady Deathstrike, one that's on your wish list.
Yeah.
Is there anything coming up that you maybe want to give us a little exclusive hint about?
I'll just say, like, you're going to see a little more trench coat action coming. It won't be brown, but, you guys probably guess who that's going to be.
That could be seen as so dirty, a little bit of trench coat
action. Trench coat action. Yep.
Oh no, I'm thinking about what Phil said about what he do for Lego.
This is not going to be a good.
Exactly. We're back in that back alley again. But...
Yeah.
This is the dirtiest episode we've ever done.
Wow. Little did I know when I come on today.
I've managed not to swear one time this entire episode, and you had to pull this out.
But so I think we're gonna do some really cool accessories with her too. So stay tuned for that. Lego-ish, but like very custom at the same time.
Okay, so jacket and her, guys. That's your two clues.
What was the second one? The jacket and
Her. You said her, didn't you?
Yep, I did. Yeah,
Her
I did.
trench coat.
Yep,
Yeah,
her trench coat. Yeah.
Well, spoilers. We already know because we talked before we started recording.
Yep.
But just a little stinger in there for you.
Yeah.
All right. So then we have one last question.
Sure.
Which is we've already asked you kind of unofficially, but now you've had time to think about it and get to know us and love us. And now we know how Phil can bribe you.
Yeah. He can keep Phil off for it. That's okay.
Any chance? What can we do to get you to think about doing a Spidey fig?
I think it'd be fun to do a Spider-Man figure. It doesn't seem, I have to Google it to get exact reference to this, but I don't think there really have to be any injection molded pieces, right? Spider-Man's pretty sparse.
No, this fig would be straight up just printing on a figure. They wouldn't be, you wouldn't, unless you wanted to go down the life brick route of making a hood for some reason.
Right.
We wouldn't want that.
Or all fancy, or all fancy with web shooters. Or
Yeah.
But that you can just get some glove tops.
Yeah, the glove tops. I do like the glove thing that they do. Yeah, I think it's definitely a possibility. It's
we mentioned this in our conversation. House of M.
Yeah.
That's comic event. Was Magneto, House of Magneto.
That'd be a good tie-in for my whole thing.
Spider-Man. There was a Spider-Man during that storyline. He had a unique suit for that storyline. So that's probably the loosest, 6th degree separation I can think of.
Is it
to bring it back to X-Men?
Is it like unique colors for the suit? Is it like kind of red and blue? Or I got to check it out.
It's red and blue.
Red and blue. Yeah. But just the way
it's a very unique pattern. The way the blue bleeds into the red.
It wouldn't look like just another Spidey iteration. It is quite different.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't think there's even I can't remember, but there wasn't any web pattern on it, was it? I don't think, or not a full web pattern all over.
Not all over, no. Not all over. It's almost like the red is like a negative space on the suit in the blue that forms the spider itself.
Okay.
Right.
If I wasn't using my phone to do this right now, I'd just check.
I will send it to you after this. No, but before I forget, Brett, I did say I'd shout out as well, because I can't speak for you here, but even though we're two big Spidey guys, I don't think either of us had actually thought to ask you about a Spidey up until yesterday. The reason for that is my friend Stickman SA actually is the one that suggested this. So if it ever does get made, it's got to be credited to him now as getting you to make a Spidey, not us. Yes, he's a lovely guy, yeah.
Thank you for that suggestion. It's definitely something that is in my alley for X-Men and whatnot. So
Stickman always sends me these great posts by this AI artist that generates all these fancy Spider-Man things, and like medieval night Spider-Man.
Oh, that's cool.
Arctic, snow Spider-Man, and iridescent Spider-Man.
Oh, that's cool.
And it was like, yeah, I could send you the
I heard you talk about the toy ones the other day. That's pretty funny, because I remember all those crazy figures in the 90s, like the Hydro Blast, all the crazy gimmicky toys.
There's a YouTuber named Comic Drake, and he just did a whole video about documenting every Spider-Verse character.
Oh wow.
And the total number they came up with was 1,755.
Wow. They
did not mention the toys specifically. But they did even go into like video games, and they get very science. It's about a 45-minute episode. They don't go over every single character, but it's very entertaining. They break down the science and how they came up with the numbers.
That's pretty cool.
And and they do like a graph of like Peters to clones and this, that, and the other. And they don't mention. Yeah, so it's by Comic Drake is the YouTube channel.
Okay,
you guys should check it out. It was actually pretty interesting.
Yeah, man. If you want to send me the link or something, that'd be awesome.
Yeah,
that'd be cool.
Did you have any questions for us?
No, I mean, you guys are doing amazing work with this podcast.
He's sick of us now, Brett.
No, this has been a lot of fun.
Well, open door. You're always welcome back if you ever want to come out.
Oh, I'd love to come back. Thank you.
Pitch a product. Maybe I can get some of the other US-based brands online with you.
Oh yeah, that'd be cool.
Shoot the shit. That'd be all.
Hey, let me know. I'm always game.
Or if you just want to reach around,
yeah, if I need to sell some things.
Phil, when I post these, I literally have to check a box saying, "Is this explicit content or not?"
Well, I think you have to think twice.
Is this meant for children or not? I actually have to check these boxes.
You've got to keep it PG-13, Brett.
Yeah.
You've got it. Okay?
But anyways, yeah. So no, you're always just don't be afraid. Don't wait on me to ask you if you ever want to come on. You're like, hey, I got a great project I can talk about, or something I want to pitch.
I'm all for it. This was awesome. I really, once again, really appreciate, you having me.
To plug.
Yeah. That can't turn that down, But hey, thanks again so much,
work
guys.
for Figs.
Yeah, we'll work for Figs. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So that being said, we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. Thank you everyone who stuck around for this episode and all the episodes. This will probably be episode, 19 maybe. I've got one more I'm going to push out before this one. I think, this will be number 19. We've come a long way since March of this year.
That's wild. They're already up this money.
Yeah, right. Well, it's only thanks to the support of everybody who's listening, the comments, the likes, the shares, the coffees. Thank you so much, everybody. If you want to share your love, there's a link in the show notes in my bio for to buy me a coffee. Again, always appreciate it, never obligated. And until then, take care of yourself, take care of each other, and we will see you soon. Say bye.
Bye.
I want you on my rack. I want to make you ring. I want you to unwrap. I want to pull your string. Bring me the next